and now we are appointed or nominated as the world's most sustainable data center in the world. 3,000 in Sweden, 250,000 in Germany.
Whoa, that is massive.
It is. So that power it requires for you and for the rest of the 500 million followers to see that photo is the same amount of power that can heat 2 homes for a full year, 2 full houses for a full year.
Wow.
One photo. Instead of exporting power from Sweden, we should develop it in Sweden by enabling more data centers. So I'm positive that data center will continue growing in the Nordics significantly.
Do you think we need to tear down the old ones? You said that they are low in efficiency. You like that?
Yeah, I do that.
Welcome to The Switch, not just another podcast, here to entertain you and to educate you. My name is Kristina Hagström-Ilevska and I'm the naive optimist with rebellic streaks that loves to push the bullshit button every now and then in order to make sure that we are moving in the right direction. But I always like to celebrate as well when I put the awesome button to life, right? And with me behind the scenes, I have amazing Jacob from DNB and Emil Pang Productions.
Yes.
Thank you guys for being and supporting this amazing show.
Of course, always.
Always.
Yeah.
And as usual, my friends, we have an exciting guest and show in front of us. Let me introduce you to Lars Schedin, or I should actually say Lasse, because Lars is actually what his wife calls him when he's angry. So let's switch to Lasse, co-founded EcoDataCenter 2016 and acted as CEO until 2021. Today, he is a senior advisor focused on marketing, funding, and sustainability. Before EcoDataCenter, Lasse has been acting as advisor to private equity firm in different industries. His last position as an employee was at SVP at Electrolux Group. He lives in Stockholm and he has 3 daughters, is married as we know, and has a German Shepherd. A lot of interesting things. He says that he's done good for the climate this week by traveling by train. I hope you did too. And he likes handcrafting, but he has a guilty pleasure. He's, as me, having a boat. We'll talk about more of what we can do because I know that you will get a lot of tips and tricks of what you can do different. Today, we're going to talk about data centers. Welcome, Lasse.
Thank you very much, Kristina. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
I'm thrilled. When we had these prepping calls, I'm so excited to teach our people, our audience, about what you have with you and why we are doing what you're doing.
Yeah, indeed. Well, and as a matter of fact, 10 years ago, I didn't know nothing about this industry and never understood what important piece it is for the modern society in order for developing and also to avoid future emissions.
Yeah. When we talked, you said, even the devil tries to be a saint at the end of his life.
Correct.
Referring to my question, why did you get into this?
Well, 10 years ago, I have to confess that I didn't care that much about sustainability. Not that I was wasting it, but I never thought about it, how it would impact our society and the planet as such. But the more I digged into that, I realized that everyone needs to change their behavior and we have to find new ways in living our lives. And the development of the technology is, of course, a very important piece of that. And when I've run into this or bumped into this industry, I realized that this is exciting. Digital infrastructure combined with sustainability. And that's how we got started 6 years ago.
And we're going to dive into that and what you actually guys are doing and that we are live in Sweden right now.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are currently operating 6 data centers in Sweden.
Well, I'm so eager to tell the audience more about that. But before that, we want to get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready for the wheel of questions?
Sure.
Here we go.
Wheel of questions. Who is your hero?
I would say Malala, the Pakistani girl that was shot in her face and survived and stand up for the bullish and all the threats she has experienced and the way she has been acting in different situations in the world. I think she's a fantastic hero for everyone in the world.
What do you think is, I agree with you, she's fantastic, but what is it that you admire so much in her?
That she took the fight, that she dared to stand up for those that were trying to kill her. And she did that before as well. So she stand up, and that's what they tried to silence her, and she continued. And I think it was fantastic from the very beginning, but just that she survived and continued doing that, I think it's
the resilience
amazing.
is really admirable.
It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
She's really a hero for everyone.
She is, definitely. Let's see what the Wheel of Questions has as a next one.
Wheel of questions. What is your proudest accomplishment?
Well, I've done a lot of things privately, of course, raising 3 daughters. That in itself is not that, it's not a walk in the park, to be honest. But when it comes to profession, I must say it's EcoDataCenter that we started with nothing 6 years ago. And if anyone would come to me today and say, hey, Lars or Lasse, I'm thinking to start building a data center, I would laugh at them. But 6 years ago, we were naive, still being in my age, we were naive. It was a bunch of very senior people, and we started building this, and we passed all the obstacles popping up every time, and a lot of people were trying to shut us down, but we continued, and now we are appointed or nominated as the world's most sustainable data center in the world.
That is
and
amazing.
That's really accomplishment.
I got to push it.
Thank you.
That is really amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us the story about, you started now, moving forward, you said you had a lot of people didn't believe in this. What happened?
Well, we started 6 years ago that I should raise money for a project. And when I went through the material, I said that this is a fantastic project and a fantastic idea. We had nothing at the time. So we said, let's give it a year and trying to see if we can make a company out from this. It was only a project. But after 6 months, we decided that digital infrastructure combined with sustainability, what can go wrong? So we start building the first data center with our own money in 2017. And after a year, we realized we were going to need a lot of money.
In what ways are data centers contributing to the world's emission? Because not everybody understands that, I think.
No, exactly. And the perception what a data center is very limited or very narrow, I would say. You, as a person, probably interact with 40 data centers every day. 40 data centers.
In my cell phone and in my computer.
In your cell phone, you are Googling, you are sending text SMSs, you are paying to banks or to Swish, you're traveling, and you are watching YouTube or whatever you're watching at. Everything requires interaction with the data center. So imagine what would happen if we would close down the data center for a day. It's going to be chaos, completely chaos. You will be stuck. You can't go anywhere. You can't buy anything. You simply can't do anything except for going out fishing.
That's a slow world.
It's a slow world. Perhaps we're going to need that.
Yeah, but also, I mean, you're also mentioning now healthcare, like things that make us go around. So
exactly, the modern society needs data center in order to develop the future solutions for today's challenges. Healthcare, diagnosing new diseases, etc., is much faster and much better than a human being ever can do. And you will find this artificial intelligence or machine learning or analytics anywhere, everywhere, in any industry. And you won't even understand what's happening. And then we'll come to self-driving cars. That will require a lot of data center capacity.
Definitely. So all these data centers that are really essential to us, why is it important that they are sustainable? A question that I'm laughing about by asking, but I think that I want people to understand what emission quantity are we talking about when it comes to data centers?
Wow, it's enormous, because in Sweden we are spoiled by very good renewable, green and very stable power. That's not the case all over the world.
No.
So in average, bear in mind that 2/3 of all the power production in the world is still done by fossil oil, gas or coal. And data centers needs a lot of power. We consume a lot of power. So if it's based on coal power production, imagine how many coal power plants is required just to run the data center. And in Sweden, Norway, eastern part of Canada, we have very good power production. So that's a perfect place to be in. But in all other countries, like in Germany, they are causing a lot of emissions. And that comes from, well, coal power as such, but it also comes from a less efficient data center that requires even more power.
Okay.
So power in itself, you think that renewable power comes with no emissions. It does, because building a hydro plant contains of a lot of concrete. And concrete is one of the worst material in the world, causing a lot of emissions.
Exactly.
So can you avoid that? That's a huge benefit.
That's why we're talking about circular thinking when it comes to the economy and sustainability. Can you give an example about how much, I mean, in comparison, how much does data centers, in a sense, have emissions if you compare it to, let's say...
Awesome. That's perfect, because if we compare ourselves with Germany, our data center in Falun will say that we emit 3,000, when it's fully up and running, 3,000 tons emissions a year. Still a lot.
Yeah.
The same data center in Germany would cause 250,000.
Wait, 2,000? No, 3,000.
3,000 in Sweden, 250,000 in Germany.
Whoa, that is massive.
It is. And that's what you're also causing when you are visiting as a tourist in Germany, and you're streaming a Netflix movie while there. Then you're causing a lot of emissions. That's coal power production.
I just came from Frankfurt. I have literally bad conscience now.
Yeah, you should. You should.
I do. And I know, and I mean, I think that there are two parts of this. One part is what the actual, that causes, and also the behavior. I remember you mentioned to me, what would happen if when Ronaldo is actually posting a picture on his Instagram. Tell us, what happens then?
Well, Ronaldo, he's got 500 million followers on Instagram. He's the biggest one on Instagram. Every time he posts a photo on that will be downloaded on your technical device. And every time you download it, you will interact with the data, with the servers somewhere. Somewhere in the world, there will be a server sending that information to your technical device.
To the 500 million.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Consider that. Multiply that with 500 million. So that power it requires for you and for the rest of the 500 million followers to see that photo. It's the same amount of power that can heat 2 homes for a full year, 2 full houses for a full year.
Wow.
One photo.
One photo. I'm so happy I don't have that many followers. I am. Definitely. And I mean, he's one. There are so many influencers and people that have big
well, imagine YouTube, the Despacito music video. Yeah. Some 7 billion of views on that. Consider, and it's 9 minutes long. that is causing much more than one photon. That's correct.
So we've established that it's a huge consumption and there are a big amount of emissions. And yet you are the world's first sustainable data center.
Well, there is always someone that is most sustainable until someone else is even more sustainable. And right now, we are appointed as the most sustainable data center in the world. And the reason is not only that we have a very nice design and the way we're located, we're also very transparent in the way we are calculating our emissions. So our customers get a complete report from us every day. And you as a competitor can look at our numbers because it's an open source, meaning that you can take a look at our calculations and compare with your own numbers. Because we think that transparency is important so that we can learn from each other.
And I 100% agree with this, but coming back to how come we're running down this path now? I mean, we've had data centers. Shoot, tell me.
Yeah, that's a problem. Everyone is aware of flight shame, that don't go by airplane, it's not good for the environment. But no one dares to talk about streaming shame or social media shame. Why not? I don't understand, because that is probably causing more emissions than the full airline industry. So we need to make people aware of how much emissions you are actually causing by using Instagram or Netflix or whatever. So I'm looking forward to in the future, when you are supposed to look at a Netflix movie, it will come with the emission declaration. So, well, if you are watching this movie, it will come with these emissions. Because then they know from where are we actually streaming this movie. If it's in Sweden, it will come with a very low number. If it's in Germany, once again, it will come with a very high number. So I'm looking forward to that.
So do I. And I think also that awareness will probably change behaviors as well at the personal level. Will I actually do this or go fishing? We'll see.
I think you're perfectly right, and particularly with the new generation. I said I'm part of the devil because my generation is the one that has caused to a large extent this situation. The younger generation will demand and require much more transparency in what they are buying and consuming. Not only clothes, etc., but also in the future for digital usage of the digital applications.
Yeah, I agree with you. How do you make a data center sustainable?
It's different steps. First of all, you need to pick the proper site. So location, as they tend to say. And you need to find a place close to where they have a production of renewable power. Because if it's too far away, you will also have distribution losses, because the third biggest consumer of power in Sweden is distribution losses, distributing it from the north of Sweden to the south.
Yeah.
So first of all, choose a good way to put your data centers, also where you can recapture the heat. Because heat or energy is a huge asset that our colleagues to a large extent just waste out in the air.
It goes up
in the water. And bear in mind that 82% of the world's energy production today is oil, gas or coal. 82%. And then we're just throwing it away. It's like having a plate full of food and you just take 2 bites and then throw it away while people are starving. That's the same thing here. So 82%, if we can recapture the heat in our industry to a larger extent, we can avoid a lot of that energy production.
So when you chose the location, what next? What do you do then?
Then you need to have a very efficient technical design, of course. And with the modern technique today, you can have a very efficient data center. But that goes for the whole industry. So that is nothing particular with us. But in the way that we are recapturing the heat, that's the uniqueness with us. First of all, we reuse it into a district heating system. But that's quite common in Stockholm today. But that's easy in Stockholm because Stockholm has got the biggest district heating system in the world.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but that's the fact. But that is not common in Central Europe. But where we are located with our main site, Falun, we have a district heating system. So in the wintertime, we can inject our heat and avoid them using oil and gas when it's really getting cold. But in the summertime...
So it's actually distributed out as well?
Yeah, in the municipality.
Yeah.
But during that period of time when the heat is not needed into the district, like during the summertime.
Well, I will talk about that in a different podcast, but Sweden might need heat.
But then we are producing pellets. Sawdust, pressure and heat, and then you have pellets. And those pellets are later on sold to private homes and industries not connected to the district heating system. And otherwise, they would probably have burnt oil, and now they can burn pellets instead. And by burning pellets instead of oil, you are avoiding huge amount of emissions. So that's the uniqueness with our solution.
It's amazing. You're actually like a perfect example of the ecosystem.
It's a circular economy in a way, it is.
Definitely. Hat off for that. I'm really impressed. Asking the next question must be like, how do we make this bigger? Now you have, how many centers? 6, right?
Yeah. We're just
we
building
need
the
600,
7th. Yeah, we are currently building the 7th.
Yeah.
And we are just in the process of making decision to build another 1. So that will bring us up to 8-9 data centers in a short period of time. Won't be enough.
Yeah.
The world is demanding significant amount of data centers or capacity, and what's happening now is the shortage of power in Central Europe, the price for power in Central Europe, and the less sustainable power production in Europe means that Sweden, Norway, and Finland is currently experiencing huge demand for data center capacity. So I think that in the short perspective there will be more demand than supply. Which is a good position to be in.
A very good position, definitely. I mean, we know that there are a lot of data centers out there, and
Indeed.
you said that demand is growing as well. How do we solve this situation? Do we rebuild or do we relocate, or how do we solve the situation in Sweden but also in Europe in a sense?
It's going to be a combination. First of all, certain data and information must be in the specific country and must be close to, like in Paris or Frankfurt. But most of the capacity could be deployed up to the Nordics, absolutely, or eastern part of Canada. So I think that data center will start competing with battery production and green steel production in the northern part of Sweden. So instead of exporting power from Sweden, we should develop it in Sweden by enabling more data centers. So I'm positive that data center will continue growing in the Nordics significantly.
Do you think we need to tear down the old ones? You said that they are low in efficiency. You like that? Yeah, I do that. Because the old generation of data centers, either they should be banned. Okay.
I know that is provocative, but they can really not be justified from a sustainability perspective. You can't recapture the heat. They are just big. And I think that we need to put more pressure and put high demands in order to allow building another data center. I think that, like in Sweden, the authorities has been too soft. We should put them under pressure. You need to recapture the heat. If you're not recapturing the heat, you are not allowed to build here. You are not have an access to power unless you are not doing that. That is the kind of demand that the authorities in the long run must put on the data center service provider.
Why don't they do that? I mean, everybody's working for sustainability. What's the catch?
Well, not even the politicians understands what a data center is. And the country that has done it good is Finland. In Finland, they are pushing pressure on the new data centers to recapturing the heat, high pressure, and they will do that in Germany now as well. We haven't come that far yet in Sweden, unfortunately. We have to get there.
I mean, and Sweden the Scandinavian countries are somewhat the forerunners. So what about the rest of the world?
Oh, they are far behind. And changing the power production in a country won't happen during the next coming 50 years. It goes extremely slow. If you look at power production 40 years ago, 2/3 of the power production was fossil-based, as it is today.
No change.
No change in percentage-wise. Of course, in volumes is a variety, but so what has happened over the last 40 years is that nuclear power has decreased, and in particular, wind power has increased.
Yeah.
So less nuclear power, more wind power, but it's very, very small percentage-wise.
What do you think needs to be done?
Well, it's a lot of things that needs to be done. First of all, perhaps you should have to categorize what kind of data center it is. Like if it's a data center for the country security, like passport register, journals for patients at hospitals, etc. That should have a different conditions than if you are storing videos on your cats or whatever it is, or cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
So it's a variety of digital processes taking place here now in storage. I think that we need to start categorizing how we are using the data center, and from that making different allocations of tax benefits or tax bans or whatever it is. And then we need to educate the users, because if no one is actually using the applications, there won't be any need for a data center. So it's also educating the end users how.
I agree with you. I would actually also push this button now, because I think that, if you are a person of power in 2022 in the world, you should have knowledge and understanding of IT sustainability, because it is a base and foundation of everything we have in our society. So I would also say that the people who are making the decisions don't have enough knowledge.
Exactly. Which is strange. We are living in an information society, and they don't have information about this part. And in particular, I think that Sweden is somewhat behind. Compared to Norway, I think that the data center industry has been better so far to interact with the politicians. We are not there in Sweden yet. So there is a path for us to go, and it's a long path. It is.
It is.
But we need to do this in better cooperation with the authorities as well as with the society.
So what kind of future, if we establish that it is a tough situation and we need to do a lot, what would you say is the futures? What give us hope now?
Well, modern challenges requires modern solutions. I think that the development of artificial intelligence and machine learning will enable us to optimize usage in a much better way, how to distribute and transport things. But the problem is that the demand is increasing rapidly at the same time. So the net-wise, even though that we are making things more efficient, we will require more capacity going forward, unless we're not finding new ways in how to store old photographs. I'm sure that you have a lot of photos stored in the cloud somewhere, consuming power, and you haven't got a clue how much power your vacation photos there is actually causing.
And all the selfies.
And all the selfies, etc. So I think that spreading the words and giving people information what it really is in consuming resources in our society, that's going to be important. But also, data center must be part of the solution. We won't be able to sort it out on with pen and paper.
I agree with that. Thank you.
Oh, that! You agree with that?
I
Wow!
Great.
Are the data centers included in the EU taxonomy? And
Correct, it is. So from March 24, our industry needs to provide a full scope emission report. And that emission report also needs to be verified by external auditors. So as you can imagine, these people will have a lot of things to do now for the next coming year and a half. We have already done that. So we have passed that for our site in Falun. So we are significantly ahead of all the competition in that. But I understand that my colleagues from other companies with the old legacy, they are struggling with this now. And they need to do that, and they need to do it in a transparent way, otherwise they will be penalized. So the taxonomy will actually be to our benefit, and it will be to the Nordics' benefit as well, because that will make it obvious to each and every one how better positioned the Nordics are running data centers than the Central Europe.
And I also hope that the companies like yours that are using this the right way also uses that to commercialize, because when we commercialize good businesses, then we create awareness as well, just as you said, to have Netflix and then you know what we're doing.
Correct. And I think that we in the Nordics need to be better in marketing how well positioned we are in providing power. It's not well known all around the world. So we have a potential to tell the world how good it is to position the data center in Sweden, of course, but in Nordics in general.
That gives me hope for the future.
There is hope for the future.
Great. Now it is time to hear from our future.
Questions from our future.
Who should pay for the better world?
It should be the supplier, actually. The suppliers should make sure that they prepare for a better world, and that should be done by putting more demand from the end consumers to the suppliers to do their part of the chain. So I think it needs to be us, but also our customers that are not always going for the cheapest and easiest solution. They need to also put sustainability in consideration when they are buying these kind of services. Too many companies in all industries go for lowest price, and low price comes with low quality. That's how it works. And unless you're not willing to pay for high quality, then we won't solve the problem. But that also comes to you as an end consumer. Then you will probably have to pay a premium for that. Unless you're not willing to pay a premium for sustainable food or ecological food, then there won't be a market. So are you willing to pay 20% extra for your ecological tomatoes, or do you buy the other ones?
Well, I hope that many people buy the ecological tomatoes, but I also know that there are some people who can't afford it.
I know.
So how do we do with that?
I have no solution for that. That's a political question that it's outside my scope for running a data center.
But hasn't it also a little bit to do with like the amount we consume?
Yeah, well, coming back to your question, I think that those companies that can't afford, I think that those that are not putting sustainability high up on their agenda will actually disappear after a while. I don't think that there is a position for them in the modern society, unfortunately. But that's how it works.
We agree on that. Definitely. Going back to like the tomato example, I mean, there is also a consumer price, right? And the question is like, who should pay for all of this? In the end, it is the consumer. Do you think that we need to, what's the way forward? Is it to make people pay the higher prices for all the things they do, or is it to make them consume less, or which way should we go?
It's a combination. And I think that goes out automatically. If you pay more for your ecological tomatoes, perhaps you would consume less as well. But those that you buy is actually more tasty. And that goes for our services as well. That are you willing to pay 20% extra to make sure that your cloud services is actually at a sustainable data center? If you are, perhaps you are more cautious about how much you're actually storing there, consuming. So I think it's a balance. I think that high priced for sustainable solution will also make people hopefully more aware of how much do I actually need to consume.
Yeah.
Today, I'm sure that you are not aware of at all how much you're consuming in terms of digital consumption.
No, I
idea.
must admit, no idea. Yeah.
Nor have I. No idea.
That is something we need to solve.
It is.
Moving forward with that.
Yeah, indeed.
Good. Lasse, are you afraid that companies will use your data centers to greenwash themselves from what they are doing in real time life?
Bullshit.
That's the wrong question. Everyone that comes to us will automatically not be greenwashing. My main challenge is our colleagues in the world that are buying green certificates from Norway, for instance, but still consuming coal power production. So I think there is a lot of greenwashing taking place right now in our industry.
Yeah.
Companies that are playing with the numbers, not exactly telling the full truth, etc., and then buying green certificates. And to my opinion, because they claim that, well, we only use renewable power here in Frankfurt. Once again, Frankfurt as an example.
Yeah.
But that is produced in Norway and it's consumed in Norway. On the margin, it's coal power production in Germany. You can't avoid it. It's coal power production, no matter how many certificates you have bought. This might be a very provocative comparison, but it's like having a clothes company buying clothes from Bangladesh, knowing that it's child labor, and then saying, but at least we're paying them a fair salary.
Yeah.
It
That's a provocative example.
doesn't
Yeah,
solve the problem. It doesn't. It's still not good. You can buy how many green certificates you want. It won't convince me at all. You know that German companies are so obsessed by buying green certificates that it's physically impossible to distribute it from Norway to Germany. And then they can hang on the wall pure renewable power. Rubbish.
I agree with that. What do we do about it? Who should be responsible for
Well,
about
the
this?
dialogue and the conversation about greenwashing needs to take place right now and it needs to be expanded and brought up on the stages and discussed. How do we view greenwashing? Where do we see greenwashing and how can we take action against it?
So should there be like a certificate that, for example, EcoDataCenter is a real solution for sustainability IT?
Yeah, I think so. And that's one topic that I've been pushing for in organizations.
You can go push that one then. Which one do we
No, but it's really a data center is not a data center. It's like comparing a car is a car is a car. No, it's not. And the same goes for a data center. I think it should be a different classification of data centers officially, because everyone will say that we have the highest quality there is. I think that based on the start emission reporting now from the taxonomy in March 24, you should start categorizing our industry into different categories and say as a customer, we guarantee that we will always be customers in tier 1 data centers, for instance. That would be good.
That is something that we want to have established and regulated.
Indeed. It has to. Unfortunately, it has to be regulated.
It has to. I agree with that. Wow, you have given me so much to think about. My own learnings and lessons. Thank you. My sunshine goes to you, Lasse, for actually being an advocate and really like influencing me and other people about this topic.
Thank you.
But I'm also curious, who does your sunshine go to?
I want to bring it up for all my colleagues at EcoDataCenter and those that believed in me and my stupid idea 6.5 years ago, that invested money in just a project. But everyone that has been on this journey, everyone has been important, from financing of the company to giving advice of the company. It's a fascinating. I've been into so many industries in so many companies But this is a very special company, and these people, they are truly the sunshine of my life professionally. They are. And of course, it's a boring answer. I know I saw that on your view then, but that's the fact. And
I don't think it's a boring answer. I think it's a very empathic answer. And I think that we all need people around us who actually push us with those crazy ideas. Because if there weren't the people who are actually standing next to someone's crazy ideas, we wouldn't solve solutions.
You're right. Crazy ideas push the society forward.
Yeah,
it does.
And to be honest, maybe 6 years ago it was a crazy idea, but today I don't think it's a crazy idea, and I think it should be something that is like not a choice. It should just be there as a demand for us. For me as a person, I would like to feel more comfortable with what I'm using and how it is actually taken care of.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I think that that puts an end to this conversation, because the last things I want to say...
Already?
Yeah.
There's so much more to say. It is.
It is?
Yeah.
Well, we have to have you back for the show. I'll do that. It is coming to an end, though. And what I want to say is that I really hope that there will be loads and loads of EcoDataCenters around in the world.
I hope so, and our competitors will probably find out even smarter solutions going forward, but that is good for everyone, and that's why we are transparent in everything we are doing, and we want to share knowledge with our colleagues. We do that already. So it's a small community, and I think that everyone is struggling with improving everything all together.
Collaboration is the only way forward.
Collaboration is for,
yeah. Thank you very much, Lasse, for attending The Switch, not just another podcast, and enlightening us, informing us, and helping us to make smarter and better choices. And thank you also for the contribution you do to the world in that sense, helping us become better.
Thank you very much, Christina. Thank you.
If you believe that this was something that was eye-opening, inspiring, make sure that you take this show and you send it to someone you love who also wants to make better decisions. Also, remember, subscribe to us on YouTube and also on the podcast channels there where you choose to download your version of. But please make sure that when you listen, you turn it off so that it doesn't take any more energy than we need. Thank you for that. And by the way, take care of yourself, and if you can, someone else. See ya!